my name is Caro, and on this video podcast I like to talk about all the crafty things I like to do. And today I have a very special episode for you guys. It's going to be my 2024 recap video / my 2025 WIP parade. Yeah, I'm super excited. You're going to see all the projects that I've touched in the past year. And yeah, just to give you a heads up, I of course didn't count. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 projects. So because it's not that massive of an amount of projects, I figure I do a bit of a merge because my last regular podcast video was actually at the end of October. I just had to look that up because I couldn't remember. So yeah, I'll kind of show you the projects that I worked on since then, because it was obviously not all 12 of them. So I'll show you some previous shots of whatever comparison to last podcast, because I won't need to show any comparison pictures from what it looked like at the beginning of the year, because I'm a pretty newbie stitcher. There's only one project in this entire WIP pile that I started actually in the year 2023, which I've since finished. So yeah, the stitching bug got me actually at the beginning of this just past year, 2024. So all the projects are basically new starts. So I figure I can do the comparison pictures just since my last podcast. And since these WIP parades sometimes draw new viewers, hello, welcome, lovely to have you here. Hope you stick around, hope you like what I do. Just a real quick introduction to myself. My name is Caro, as I mentioned. I live in Germany. I'm married with 2 kids. They're both still in kindergarten. But my oldest. My eldest starts school this year, so that's very exciting. And yeah, if I'm not stitching, I work as an engineer, and yeah, I have a very soft spot in my heart for everything blue and cold and northern and wintry, which might be reflected in my WIPs as well. So but yeah, that's all I meant to say there. Just quickly, if you're on Instagram, I'm there under caro.kirsch. If you want to give me a follow there, not super active though. But yeah, that's all I meant to say at the beginning of the episode. Let's move to the WIP parade. And the way I've organized this, I'm just gonna show you all the projects from the starting date, oldest to newest. So there's gonna be some finishes, some FFOs even, and some normal WIPs kind of sprinkled in between. Again, I just sorted them by the date I've started them. And yeah, I think let's just start. So as I mentioned before, there is one project that is my oldest, which I finished in the very beginning of last year. And yeah, that is the vintage Halloween Carousel by the Witchy Stitcher. And yeah, I had this nearly done. When I first showed this in my first Flosstube episode, I just had some fill-in of black to do, and then I finished it, and I've shown it finished in my Flosstube as well. I think probably my second one, I guess. And as you may remember, it looks still exactly like this. So I started working on the fully finish. I want to turn this into a project bag for knitting, but yeah, haven't really continued with this. So this is halfway in the process to becoming a fully finished object. But yes, I really love this. I did sort of a stash conversion with anchor floss, because I didn't have any floss when I started this, and there was actually a local shop closing down and they were getting rid of their anchor floss, so I just kind of matched what they what the pattern called for with what they had still in store. Oop, there is a non-woven in end on both sides. Ooh, I think I still need to weave an ends on my sweater. But anyways, so yay. So I guess stats wise, I started this in May 2023 and then I finished it in February of 2024. So nearly a year, which I guess this was my second. I finished one other project, but that was fully completed in 2023. So it's not gonna get any view time here, but yes, this is my second project. And really left this. And in 2024, I had to put in 345 stitches in order to finish it. And yeah, let's move on, right? We have enough. Actually, the second project that I started, or this year or last year, I started that on January 17th, is my Christmas table runner. And I do not have that object here to show you, but I've since finished that one. I finished it in December this year. And I'm just going to insert some pictures. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So I basically charted it myself. The border was inspired by a picture I found online, but unfortunately it was all in Cyrillian language, so I can't really reference it. Don't know who that's from. And the lettering, I charted myself in the end. And and those candles arrangements, I totally freestyled. I basically just drew on the fabric those candles with the leaves and everything, and then I just stitched over it, which is the reason why the one side is a little smaller than the other side. Maybe I should have then charted the one side I did to kind of just mirror it on the other side, but I guess if I wouldn't have mentioned it just now, maybe you wouldn't even have noticed. The recipient anyways was very, very happy with it. And yeah, that's all I have to say there. Oh, I stitched that. Ooh, I already forgot. Man, I have all the information printed out here and I'm not reading it out to you. So the vintage Halloween carousel was stitched on a 32 count mystery linen. And I stitched that one 2/2. And the Christmas table runner is a 28 count cross stitch band. Again, kind of mystery. I got that all in that shop closing down sale back when I really didn't know anything about cross stitch. And I also stitched that one 2/2. And yes, and now we're coming to my next project, which is, dare I say, still my favorite, because I put pains into creating this project, or just whatever, getting started with it. And that is my amazing Loon. And I actually printed out some cool pictures that I can show. But I'm gonna have problems with glare, I'm realizing now, but yeah, you can see it here. So this is the final result, how it will look like eventually when I'm done stitching. And the short story of it is it's based on a heaven and earth design, and called just Amazing Grace by David Bartlett. But that one depicts a swan, and I didn't like the swan. I wanted a loon because I'm married to a Canadian, and the loon is a very Canadian animal. I think they exist elsewhere too, but certainly not in Germany where I'm from. And then I also added this kind of design, which is kind of what the indigenous folk up there, it's just very typical for that area. Sorry, random words. So I adopted that style to make the shadow of the loon. I guess interesting with this one is I'm stitching the background, so everything that's blue, and also the shadow figure on a 28 count 2/2. And then the Loon, obviously I stitched that also on the 28 count, but I stitched that one 2/1 10 stitch. So yes, so I have two different resolutions going. And now let me show you the project. Talked about it long enough already. And here's where I'm at. And yeah, since last time you guys seen this on the podcast, I'll insert the picture there. I actually added quite a bit of progress. I added, hang on, 2,254 full cross stitches. I only worked in the background here, up here, and I started adopting the typewriter method, but maybe I'll tell you guys more about that in my regular Flosstube update, that this isn't taking too very long. But yeah, I'm super happy with how this is all turning out. I think the 28 count 2/1 tent is gonna turn out quite thick, especially because I'm also mixing in some CXC floss in here. So we'll see how that'll end up once I get into the higher confetti areas. But yeah, I'm at, what's the percentage on this one? I'm on 37.1%. And the total stitch count actually is 82,700 roughly. So yeah, really, really love this project. And this is actually, I started a group within the event Stitch to the Moon, within the Full Coverage Fanatics Facebook group. And yeah, this is my main project that I use to do stitches, because our group is called Blue to the Moon. So we're trying to work on mainly blue projects or whatever blue areas within a cross stitch project to stitch our way to the moon. But let's move on to the next WIP. This is really just a WIP, and I haven't worked on this at all. I basically started it back in May, and it's called Fullmoon Raven. It's one that I charted myself, basically just with a bunch of Photoshop together pictures, and I'll have to insert actually what the final picture might look like. I don't even have a proper shot of that because I kind of got lazy, because the idea is that I'll have the moon and the raven full coverage basically, but then the tail and the feet of the raven and the branch that's sitting out will fade out from full coverage cross stitch to then eventually just backstitch. And yeah, here's where I'm at. I don't know, I can't even remember. Apparently I tried in two different areas to stitch. And the biggest problem I have is really with the fabric. Because the fabric I chose is, I tried to buy a 28 count, but it's just linen. It's not even cross stitch fabric. I don't know, maybe I can go really, really close. It is super uneven and very hard. Like there's really, really thick and really, really thin threads. It's really not made for cross stitch, so it's very hard to count. And I think that's kind of what got me a little bit frustrated here, because I think my grid got messed up, and that will probably create problems with my two areas that I started stitching there. So this is basically deemed to be a restart. I do want to do this project, but maybe I even rechart it and rethink kind of my design, because this was something I did in the very beginning as well. But I do like the idea of a raven and a moon stitch project, even though this was actually intended to be stitched on the full moon. But I just realized I'm not that kind of stitcher. Like I don't really look too much on what date it is. I really mainly stitch on what I feel like stitching, plus adding a few goals, general ones. But yes, so this might be a restart, but for now it's still a work in progress that is basically a little bit on the I don't touch it too much pile. If that is a pile you have. But the total stitch count on that one would be 14,625. And oh yeah, back then I didn't track my stitches on Notions yet, which is why I don't know how many stitches are in there actually. But yes, so the next project on the list is actually one I really, really like, and I wish I would make more time for. And that is my very first long dark sampler, which I intended to start on the 29th of February. That was a big thing last year because it was a leap year. I still count it as a leap year start in my head, but I actually effectively started it on March 10th. I just didn't have everything ready. I don't know what I was waiting on. Maybe my fabric or something. I don't know. The thing is, I dyed my floss and I also dyed my fabric. So that's why it just took me a little longer. I think I was waiting on the floss and then I still needed to dye it or something. But yeah, let me show you where I am on my long dark sampler. So this is Ragnarok. Okay, I could have shown you the finished picture, but maybe I'll just insert it. Yeah, and it is a long dark sampler depicting lots of like little stories from the northern. I always struggle finding the words. I guess there isn't really proper words for this. It's like the Viking Scandinavian sagas, and there's this big story about the Ragnarok, which is kind of the end of the world, and there's lots of stories. They're just separate sagas that are just part of their culture. It's not really even history, right? It's just stories they tell each other that apparently happened ages and ages ago. But yeah, I really, really like it. So I'm stitching this with silk that I hand dyed with indigo. And yeah, how much percent have I done on this one? This one is at 3.3%. So this is a big piece. I can show you the fabric. It's huge. Sorry, I didn't iron anything. This one looks a little shabby, but this one is a 36 count linen from Zweigart that I coffee dyed, also with some iron, which added the blackish look to it. And yeah, again, really, really want to put more progress into this because I'm starting to see this project a little more. It's not a lot of people that work on this one. But just on another WIP parade, if I remember, I link her below because I can't remember. She's a new Flosstuber. It was her first video. She has a lot of progress on this. So I was very excited to see that, and it definitely reignited my own want to continue stitching on this. The silk is not too great. It's a silk I got, I don't even remember where, I think eBay. It's not a high quality silk, so I really hope that the silk will not kill me on this project. But yes, no progress since the last episode. The next start I had was in April, on April 12th. And the people who actually also did that stitch along will now know which project that is, and that is the Deadly Aquarium SAL. And this one is my very proud, fully finished object. So I finished the SAL and framed it myself. And yeah, I really love this. This was a lot of fun to stitch. But if you've done a Lola Crow cross-stitch SAL before, I don't think I mentioned this, that's her design. It's a beast. It's quite a few stitches. It is, how many stitches is it? 18,622 stitches. And I basically stitched the whole thing as called for. The only thing I changed is there was another stingray up here, which I omitted. I don't know. I didn't feel like it quite belonged there. I know it was, I mean, they jump out of the water. That's kind of one of their features. But yeah, I kind of liked all the fish being contained in the aquarium. And then I also swapped out, sorry for the glare, but yeah, I swapped out a Krynic here for one of the colors in the frame. But other than that, I stitched as called for. I think I used CXC mainly for this, and this is a project that I stitched on 36 count linen, and this one is a Science Guys, woo, lots of glare, by Lady Ravenga, who's a German indie dyer. So yeah, and I thought the color really suited this project, and I'm very happy. I didn't keep up with the SAL, but I was pretty good with it. I kept up with it for most of the time. I think I fell behind like the last 4 releases. And but yeah, I ended up finishing it in September. But don't ask me now when actually the SAL was finished. I think I was like a month behind, basically, by the time I finished it. So not too bad. Yeah, so moving on to the next one. I'm actually making good time. Usually like I talk and talk and talk and talk, but proud of myself. I'm not talking too much. But the next project is, it's kind of a small project, but at the same time, it's a huge project. And this one is not a SAL. It is the Nostalgic Tarot released by the Witchy Stitcher, which if you're part of her Patreon, you'll get those patterns. She releases 2 tarot cards every 2 months. So in average, you get 1 pattern per month, but they're getting released 2 at a time. And yeah, I started with the Fool because he's cute and because he's the first one. So that was kind of an easy start. I don't think it's the first card she released. I don't even have the first 2 she released. I kind of jumped on the train a little bit later. But if you're familiar with her pattern, or maybe I'll just put in her version, it is more pink. Like, it is full rainbow, my version as well, but is, as I like to call it, a pink rainbow, and I turned mine into a blue rainbow because blue. And yeah, so this is kind of my mock-up, but I'm stitching it also on a dark fabric. And this fabric is a 40 count. It is a Zweigart for sure. Is that then the Newcastle? Yeah, that's the Newcastle linen. And I hand dyed that with basically red dye, the German version of the red dye. Blue and navy, navy and black, sorry. And yeah, this is where I'm at, sorry. There is a needle slashed right through the middle of him. I'm obviously working on the white of his belly right now. Kind of working my way from top down. There's a lot of color changes in this one, but I actually made some progress on this since last time. So I insert the picture here, and yeah, how many stitches did I put in? 738. So I'm now at 72.1%, which is the furthest along of all my projects, just percentage-wise, because it is a nice and small project. And yeah, the aim is to stitch all of the cards. I don't have a timeline for this. But I'll start the next card. I actually have that printed out. I just picked the next one that I thought was really, really cute. The Hanged Man. So that'll be the next card I'll stitch. And yeah, because there's so many color changes and only like whatever 5 stitches of pink and then you switch color, I actually started doing something that is kind of inspired by the 50 needle stitcher. It's been a while since her last video now, but she released like 3 videos or something back in the end of the summer, I think. I don't know, I would have to look that up now. But yeah, like her channel is called 50 Needle Stitcher because she stitches with basically as many needles as colors are in her project. And I thought that was really, really cool, kind of because I always struggle with like little tiny leftovers. to kind of put it back on the floss card. So I started to do this, and I always meant to show, and I don't know why I chose the WIP parade to be the episode where I show, but I thought this was really cool, and this is really working very well. So what I did is I put the soft side of the Velcro strip. The hard side works too, but I haven't tried the hard side. I think with a hard side, you're gonna get issues with your floss then sticking to this. It won't stick to the soft side, but it'll probably stick to the hard side. So I probably would still use the soft side of Velcro, and then you can just put your needles there, and it's nice and flat. Because like there are these cool thread organizers where you can like poke your needles in, but then it becomes this three-dimensional thing that is very hard to store, and it takes up a lot of space. And what I like about these floss cards is that they're so nice and flat, and you can just wrap your floss around, and you can still do that, and you have all the needles with you. So if you like the idea of it, give it a go. I'm really happy with how this is working out, and it's especially useful in a project with so many thread color changes and stuff. And yeah, where you definitely won't use up the whole entire length of your thread. I still have some, whatever, threads kind of left and uncut because I know there's still some color super close, but it's very hard to count my way on a dark 40 count for sure. So I'm trying to stitch everything as full as possible until I put in new stitches kind of further away, if that makes any sense. Anyways, so that is the Fool, and I really hope to finish that one soon. I actually have a thing going this year, Finish Fridays. So I'll be stitching on the furthest along percentage-wise project every Friday, whichever one that may be. And again, currently that's the Fool. So today's Friday, so I'll stitch on this tonight and add a few more stitches. Okay, next project is another finish. This one I started on July 2nd in the spirit of Christmas in July, because during market release I got the 12 Days of Christmas by Annie B's Folk Art. And yeah, I started and finished the first one, which is Partridge in a Pear Tree. I finished this on October 17th. And this project has 858.5 stitches. The 0.5 comes from the back stitches because I use the app CrossStitch Saga, which also charts like the beads and the back stitch, and it gives you a stitch count. And so sometimes you have half stitches left over. So that's how I sometimes have 0.5 stitches in a project. But yeah, I stitched this on a 14 count black Ada from Zweigart, and I used all the call for threads, mainly CXD, I believe. And really happy with it. First time ever beading, which with the red ones you can't really tell, but the white ones are pretty wonky, especially if they're supposed to be in this nice straight line, but that's okay. I'm planning on finishing these as those nice little stockings as she kind of suggests in the design. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to finish the tarot cards as actual cards. I'm going to put pretty stiff backing. Ugh, what's that called? I don't know what that is called, but you know what that's called. The stuff you iron behind to stiffen fabric. And then I'll add a backing fabric to actually finish it as a playing card, basically. So something similar will happen here. And yeah, I already have this back kitted up for the second one in line, which is it 2 turtle doves? I think so. So yeah, I haven't started this one yet, so didn't make the cut for the WIP parade. Anyways, the next project I love. It's really, really cool. And it's a finish, and it's halfway there to be a fully finish. So this is my Peaceful Lakehouse. Ta-da! Maybe crazy. Let's just marvel at this. So this is the first time you guys will see this as a finish, because this wasn't finished in the last podcast episode. I'll insert a picture of what it was in the last episode. How many stitches did I put in? 11,685. So I really focused on this one in December. I was basically stitching only on this in December because I was trying to get it done till Christmas, but kind of a bit stupid of me realized too late that I would have to finish it way before Christmas, because we're in Canada. We were in Canada for Christmas, and this was, or is supposed to be, for my mom. And yeah, but at some point realized, okay, I'm not gonna make it in time to give it basically to my aunt, who was the last person we saw, who would then see her for Christmas, and to give it to her for Christmas. So I just took this project with me to Canada and finished it there on the 28th of December. So this is still a 2024 finish. And yes, this is a dimensions kit, basically. Hang on. Sorry. This is a dimensions kit, just the regular dimensions. And it's called Peaceful Lakehouse, which is why I call it that way too. But as you can see, this house is red and this area kind of looks different. And if you really closely look, the boat is different too. So, yes. Sorry, how do I do this? Blue house, not a red house. And then, yeah. I mean, the boat is basically the same. It's really just the sail that peeks out a little further over the beam, the mast. And yeah, I also changed this dock. And I changed it to look like our lake house. So this is the house my mom owns. And we have a terrace and we have a red canoe, which is why I added that one in. We actually do have a red boat, so I left that one as charted. And we do have a sailboat, but the sail shape is different and it's blue, so I recharted that. And this is actually the dock of our neighbor, which is our view that we get with the tower there on top of the hill, which is also something I charted myself. So this was a really fun project. I used actually the kit floss, most of it. It's really just a few colors in the house that I had to grab from my DMC stash because I didn't have enough blue left in the project. But everything else I stitched either as charted, like the trees and stuff, and this whole flower area is just stitched as charted with the dimensions floss. And then, yeah, this is also stitched with the dimensions floss, and it was just enough of what was there to finish everything else. Again, just I added one DMC color, which I can't remember now, but I don't think it matters that much, to finish the house, the blue house. So yeah, very, very excited. I just, this made people cringe. I just taped it on actually from this is a picture that belonged to a frame. So this is for a glass frame. I'm not sure if I actually put the glass frame over it or if I find like a nicer frame. But yeah, for now it's just on this cardboard thing, and I can give it to my mom either like this or find a frame before I see her the next time, but I'm not sure. But yeah. Yay. When did I already said I finished it on the 28th of December, and yeah, I think that's all I meant to say. Did I say I put, yeah, I did say that's quite a lot. I'm pretty proud of it. I put 11,685 stitches in this. I mean, it's since October, so it's been quite a while, but yeah, I did focus on this a lot, and I'm glad that I finished the project. Anyways, you know what? Let's sneak in a giveaway, because I'm done with that project and it was a kit. So I still have the paper pattern, which I didn't use. So it's in great condition. But the paper pattern is obviously for this version. So if you're interested, because there is like, you can convert DMC, or you can convert the dimensions to DMC colors. So you could stitch this if you wanted to. You could also stitch my version if you're interested. I could send you my version. I have that in the CrossStitch Saga, but I can also... Can I export it into a PDF? I don't want to promise too much right now because I only have the free version of... I would have to look into that. But anyways, let's start with the paper pattern of this version, and if you win it and then are interested in the blue version, then we can get into the details of that. But yeah, if you want to win this, just add a comment, something with peaceful. That'll be the code word I'll search for. Please don't mention anything, giveaway, win, free, you know, all those trigger words. For the trolls, because we don't want those. And yeah, and please be 18 and a subscriber, and then I would send this your way. Again, it's just a paper pattern. I don't have the floss anymore. I used it all up, and I changed the kit fabric a little bit. I can show you. No, I'll show you in my next Flosstube. This will just be too much for this. But yeah, so if you want to win this, peaceful in the comments, and it is yours. Okay, next project. We have 3 left. So the next one is also a dimensions project, actually, and that is my Woodland Santa tree skirt. And oh, I love this, and this is actually calling my name super, super loudly lately. But a lot of projects are. Isn't that the struggle? So this is what it will look like. Oh, I thought it was so smart to put this into this plasticky thing, but now I deeply regret that because of the glare. So yay. I thought this is such a cool design. It's super Christmas. It's super kitsch, but also not super kitsch. I don't know. It's pretty kitsch, but I don't know, a bearable amount of kitsch for me. And yeah, it's gonna be a tree skirt. I'm stitching this on a 14 count Aida. I think the original kit, and yes, I don't have the original kit. It's not being made anymore, and I couldn't find a complete old kit. I only found one which had very questionable amounts of floss and everything, and it was very pricey, so I was like, no. But I was able to find a digital version of the chart, which is what I ended up getting, and then just kitting up the project myself. And the original project is on 11 count Aida, and I chose 14 count Aida. Basically, that's all I could get in the width I needed. So it'll be smaller than I guess a normal tree skirt would be, but the way we have set up our tree, it would actually work really, really well. Maybe once it's done, I'll show you how I envision it before I try to explain. I did try to explain in one of the episodes and made basically a fool of myself, so I'm not going to repeat that. But yeah, I only have a very short start. It's not very far in. I've done 504 stitches. This is counting half stitches only as a half, so it's probably like around 1,000 if you count a half stitch as a full. But since it's the dimensions, it's a colorful mix of everything: full cross, half cross, back stitch, and all that. And again, I'm using CrossStitch Saga, so it just counts that way. And the total stitch count is 24,192. So my rough math in my head tells me I would need to do over 2,000 stitches a month to finish this for next Christmas, which really I wanted to, but man, that's a lot of stitches. I don't know if I'm gonna get it done for next Christmas, but that was kind of the goal. And January is nearly done already. And this isn't a full coverage, so I can't even use it for my Stitch to the Moon project either. Oh man, but whatever. I'll stitch on it. I really want to stitch on this, but yeah, this is where I'm at. And I really love it. And I really want to have it for Christmas next year. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that's all to say there. I haven't done any stitching on this project since last episode, but I did stitch on this one. So this is a full coverage piece, which I guess I don't have too many of those. I always think of myself as a full coverage stitcher, but most of my projects really are kind of non-full coverage, basically. There is no real half full coverage kind of thing. But anyways, this one is Winter by Puck's Closet, who's on Etsy. And it's it's not a full-on stained glass, but it definitely has a spirit of the stained glass kind of pattern. It's this nice wintry looking lady with red wavy hair, and I just love the colors, really. I don't think it's not a project I'm stitching for my wall. It's really more just for the fun of the colors. And this is kind of the project I'm stitching these days, hence it's on my hoop. And did quite a bit of progress since last time you've seen this. I put 1,909 stitches into this. This is half stitches though, which are counted as full stitches. And I'm stitching this on 25 count easy guide Zweigart 2/1 10 stitch. And really like how this is looking. And since last time I basically added like this arch here, and I worked quite a bit here. Again, I started doing the typewriter method. Currently I'm still in the very first line because I just jumped over to the typewriter method. My plan is to just fill in this area kind of with the typewriter method and then move out. But as you can see, I finish the threads and sometimes the stitches just lead me here. There is some, I think it's a good mix between like high confetti and block stitching. There's not really like massive block stitching. I think that might come further down in the pattern. But there is some colors that are just crazy confetti, as you can see here. But others, there's quite a bit of colors to fill in. That's Winter by Puck's Closet, and I love it a lot. Okay, and now we're in 2025. So this is my very last WIP I have to show you, and it is a new start for January 2025. I'm doing a WIP go board where I'm bringing my WIP count up to 25. Currently, I don't know, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 active WIPs. So I'm planning to have 25 by the end of the year, or maybe less because I might finish the odd start that I have planned. But the one I'm about to show you is actually one I thought I might be able to finish, and there's still some time in January, but we'll see how this goes. So my first WIP go call was the Forest Fox, which was a freebie pattern by Pigeon Coop Designs. And here, let me show you a mock-up of what this one will look like once it's done. I have not printed off the thing, but I pulled it up here. So this is how it'll look like when it's done. Probably something to be finished in a round hoop. And so far I have 226 stitches, which sounds a lot. Doesn't look like a whole lot. And I'm actually using my leftover threads from the Peaceful Lakehouse. So I'm doing this with the dimensions threads. I was able to find kind of a color for everything that was called for. I'm struggling a little bit with the yellow right now. As you can see, it's a little bit too yellow for the fox. I'm only doing the lower half stitch, and my plan is to put the full cross over top with this orange. So we'll see if that works. And if not, I might have to find a DMC after all to put in for this color. But other than that, It's fun. I've had to frog quite a bit on this, and I actually found another mistake. The nose is one stitch too long, so I might have to rip out the head, kind of. It's not that many stitches, but it's so tiny and fiddly, and I actually already restitched the head. Like, I did it twice wrong, apparently, or I did it right the first time and wrong the second time, or I don't know what happened, but man, I already had to kind of rip out something in the tail, and then I had to rip out something on this side, so not sure why I'm having so much trouble with this one, but I don't have the easiest time stitching on this. But it looks cool. It already looks cool. Kind of like super simple, simplified fox. You can already tell it's a fox, even though it's not done. But yes, it's in a bit of a timeout right now since I noticed a messed up in the head. So we'll see. But I'll probably just have to frog. I don't think there's a good way around it. But yeah, that is all my works in progress. So if you liked what you've seen, then stick around and see what I have planned to start. I did do a stitch with me, which was actually after the 27th of October. Because in my head I always had like, I did an episode in November, but I think that was the stitch with me. And they were actually talked about my plans for 2025. Since then, I tweaked them a little bit because, as I've just said, in my head, I'm like a full coverage stitcher, but in actual real life, most of my projects aren't full coverage, but I really, really want to start more full coverages. And I found a lot of projects that I would like to start. I have 2 big ones that are already kitted up. Those were also in my stitch with me. I mentioned those already. Those were full coverages. But I think I'm going to omit a few of the starts that I had planned that aren't full coverage, and I'll swap them out with full coverage. But yes, more on that later, and probably just I'll tell you as I'm going, because clearly I can't stick to my plans very well since I'm already throwing them overboard in January. But so far I'm not going to change my WIP Go board too much. I'll just see if the projects are calling to me that are called or not. And if they are, I'll start them. Like the fox, I really like it. It's cute, and I thought it would be an easy win. We'll see. I still have a few days. Maybe I can finish that one. That would be really nice to get an easy win in January. But yeah, that's all I have to show you today. So yeah, give this video a thumbs up, and again, comment down below if you're interested in the pattern for the peaceful lake house. And yeah, other than that, I guess, hang on. There's one thing I wanted to mention with my regular podcast episodes. I'm struggling a lot to find the time. These videos kind of take a while. It's taking me forever to finally sit down and do this one. I'm very glad I now did, and I'm at the end of it. So this might actually see the day of light on YouTube. But yeah, since I'm struggling so much to find the time to record these videos, and the longer I don't find the time, the more massive they get, because I put more progress in or pick up a new project, so I'll add a project that I'll have to talk about. I thought I want to switch around the format. Not everybody's gonna love this now, and I know there's a few people actually trying this out. I think a few people actually already were trying it out in December. And it's basically this vlog style. And I don't know, I wouldn't even call it vlog style. It's really just recording like little snippets over the same time one episode would cover for me, like roughly a month. And then just talk about the projects as I'm working on them, instead of kind of waiting a whole month and then filming one big chunk. Because yeah, again, it's just super hard for me to find the time. I have 2 kids, I work, so it's basically always the weekends. And yeah, if I'm like gone for a long while, like last weekend I was away, for instance, so then it's just easy to skip like 1 or 2 months and not being able to film. And I'm also not always in the mood. I mean, I had the opportunity before, but then I'm just like, oh, getting out all the projects and then writing it all down and how many stitches and and then you kind of want it to be like in a good mood too, you know. You don't want to be sitting there grumpy and everything's not fun. Nobody wants to see that. So yeah, I figured I'm gonna try this new format. We'll see how it goes, and we'll see how you guys like it. If you hate it, I guess, I don't know, we're gonna have to find a compromise if I love it. I guess if I love it, you guys will have to learn to love it. But yes, that's just a little heads up. I'm actually gonna finish this and then start my next segment, or the first segment for the next podcast, because I think that's what I want to try. Because yes, I mean, I needed this video to kind of tidy up 2024 and show my progress I've done, and now I have like a clean slate and can start with a new format in the new year. Not that the new year has necessarily anything to do with it, but yes, that's just a natural breaking point. Anyways, I'm rambling now. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Throw me an emoji. Throw me a rainbow. I have my little list taped on with rainbows, so that's why I'm asking for the rainbow. Throw me a rainbow if you managed it to the end. It's always fun in the comments to see you loyal people. I see you. I do remember the names. It's not that many, so it's easy. But yes, thanks for watching, and see you in a few minutes. For you, a little longer probably. I guess a month. Sorry. Bye bye.